7 p.m. in all 10 regions of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for taking the rendezvous. You're welcome to the 7 p.m. English newscast on DBS television. My name is Gienda Pelgrin Blanche. Can we begin today's edition of the English newscast from foreign stories? It is over between Mali and France. Let's now talk about a new era, the age or the time for Mali and Russian relations. Mali receives 5 military jets and a helicopter from Russia following a historic ceremony held by ruling junta Assimi Goïta and Russian diplomats. Rogia Tububa has more.
Mali has received 5 military jets and a combat helicopter from Russia, which has become a close ally in its fight against a long-running extremist insurgency. The head of the military junta, Assimi Goïta, joined Russian diplomats at a ceremony for the handover of the jets and the helicopter. The Soviet-era warplanes are the latest batch of deliveries under close ties that have been built up since the Sahel state underwent a coup in August 2020. The regime has brought in Russian paramilitaries described by Bamako as military instructors, but by Western nations as mercenaries to support the troubled armed forces. Previous Russian armed deliveries disclosed this year have been 2 Mi-24P helicopters and surveillance radars, which was announced in April, and 2 helicopters and mobile radar systems in March. There have been no details about the terms under which Mali has acquired the weapons. One of the poorest nations in the world, Mali has been battered by an extremist campaign that began in the north of the country in 2012.
Twin explosions in Burkina Faso leaves at least 15 soldiers dead. The ambush occurred on a rural road in the Bam province of the country's central north region, where soldiers and civilians are constantly targeted. Rugia Tububa once more.
At least 15 soldiers have been killed in northern Burkina Faso when a transport vehicle drove over a hidden explosive, killing several troops before a second explosion killed those who rushed to their aid. The incident occurred on a rural road in the Bam province of the country's central north region, where soldiers and civilians are consistently targeted by armed groups. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack, but investigations are currently underway to determine the perpetrators. A week before that, Islamist militants killed 4 soldiers and 4 more militiamen in another Bam province ambush. Burkina Faso's military government took part in a January coup that removed former President Roch Marc Christian Kabore amid widespread anger about the government's failure to improve the security situation in the country. The violence has displaced more than 1.85 million people in Burkina Faso and has killed thousands across West Africa's Sahel region.
Activities to commemorate the 11th Africa Day of Decentralisation and Local Development have officially been opened. Commemorative activities began last week in Yaoundé, the political capital of the country, under the chair of Cameroon's Minister of Decentralisation and Local Development, George Elanga-Obam, who used the opportunity to challenge local authorities to sensitize the population on conflict prevention within their various areas of command. Ate Bonaventure has more.
The Africa Day of Decentralization and Local Development seeks to promote the 9 principles and values of decentralization, local development, and local governance, which include community participation, inclusiveness, solidarity, respect for human and people's rights, diversity, and tolerance. Commemorative activities at the Center Regional Council were chaired by Minister George Elanga-Obam, who highlighted Cameroon's willingness and determination to accelerate the decentralization process through the implementation of the General Code of Regional and Local Authorities. He also used the occasion to call on local authorities to sensitize local populations on conflict prevention and update their human resources in the face of new dynamics of fast-tracking decentralization. The Africa Day of Decentralization and Local Development was instituted after the adoption of the African Charter of the Values and Principles of Decentralization and Local Development of June 27, 2004. Activities include roundtable discussions, hybrid seminars, and exhibitions.
Cameroun also joins other countries in the African continent to commemorate the Day of Civil Registration and vital statistics, the importance of recording and storing statistical data on births and civil actions for development. Ate Bonaventure.
The Africa Civil Registration and Vital Statistic Days aim to further sensitize and educate the African public on the importance of civil status registration and vital statistics.
In line with the previous themes, this issue presented for our common reflection in 2022 emphasized the need for a holistic and systemic approach to public policy on civil status registration. This requires African countries to build dynamic, interoperable, resilient, proactive, and agile civil status registration systems.
Commemorative activities center around harnessing country coordination and ownership to strengthen integrated civil registration and vital statistics as a vehicle for counting everyone.
In this regard, the African Union rightly encourages member states to establish or maintain inter-institutional coordination committees that regularly bring together all relevant stakeholders in the civil status registration and vital statistic production system and the identification system to strengthen and promote these systems and the use of their data in all government services.
The lack of reliable population data in Cameroon impedes demographic projections and development planning and inhibits inclusive growth. The Ministry of Decentralization, the National Civil Status Take-Two, the Ministry of Decentralization and Local Development, the National Civil Status Registration Office, and partner municipalities are in a position to establish an inclusive and accountable system for civil registration and population statistics.
The Day of Civil Registration is commemorated side by side African Day for Decentralization and Local Development. Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, Minister George Langauban, urges individuals to portray the relevance of decentralization in the Cameroonian context. Listen to him in the following excerpt selected by Ate Bonaventure.
This day confirms, if it were still necessary, the relevance of the decentralization policy desired by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, which most African states have in common. It enhances the dissemination of the 9 principles and values formulated for players in the decentralization sector in the governance of local affairs, namely community and inclusive participation, solidarity, respect for human and people's rights, diversity and tolerance, justice, equality and equity, integrity, civic responsibility and citizenship, transparency and accountability, and responsiveness. In Cameroon, this event unfolds in a context still characterized by the acceleration and deepening of decentralization process, with the continued establishment of regions as well as deployment of councils and city councils in the local development sector.
Cameroon is celebrating Africa Day for Decentralization and Local Development at a time where the country's decentralization process is under scrutiny. In the following report, our reporter Nde Vanessa Shuyong takes an overview of the implementation process and the territorial collectivities in Cameroon within the stakes involved. Nde Vanessa Shuyong.
Cameroon, like many African countries, is currently in the process of decentralizing significant functions previously exercised by the central administration to local governments. This is in line with the 1996 constitution, which transformed the country into a decentralized unitary state comprising a central government and several autonomous subnational governments. It has taken almost 15 years to translate these constitutional provisions into reality, especially in the recent push to implement the law on decentralization. The initiative is encouraged by the creation of the Ministry of Decentralization and Local Development in 2018, headed by Minister George Elanga Obam, the promulgation of Law No. 2019/024 of December 24, 2019 on the General Code of Decentralized Territorial Communities and the organization of elections for regional councillors on December 6, 2020. To effectively implement the process, the functions of regional councillors, public independent conciliators, and city mayors have been instituted to facilitate the social and economic empowerment of citizens. Although it is substantially striking in terms of progress towards the projected optimum, the decentralization process still contains areas of dissatisfaction, funding issues, and problems related to the management of transferred skills. Political observers argue that constitutional and legal prescriptions are contrary. The form of decentralization favored by Cameroon's legislator operates in such a way that the powers purportedly devolve to regional and local governments are severely circumscribed by an intrusive and ever-present central government. They equally question the independence of the above bodies in decision-making, the financial autonomy of the regions. In a bid to say decentralization and local government remains a mirage to keep the people under a central control system. This year's commemoration in Cameroon is taking place under the theme, making food security a key priority for development and territorial cooperation.
Frequent fights and misunderstandings between municipal police and road users, especially bike riders and taxi drivers in towns and other parts of the country, will soon be a thing of the past. This is following a presidential decree signed yesterday redefining the functions and duties of municipal police, of course, laying down new rules for easy identification. Get details of what is contained in the 10-page document in the following report. Municipal police agents across the country have new defined functions as per a decree signed by the President of the Republic yesterday. According to the 10-page document, agents of both gender will work with a uniform different from their initial wear. The uniforms must carry full names of the officers and the name of council area for easy identification. The document clearly states their duties entails maintaining order, safety, tranquility, security, and public sanitation. They are, however, not allowed to use weapons like forces of law and order. For the effective implementation of their duties, they will use whistles, lassos, safety helmets, torches, amongst others. The presidential decree solves the recent confrontations existing between denizens and municipal police. More than once, individuals have cried foul, decrying extortion and malpractices from the council agents. Douala, in particular, is one of those cities with weekly confrontations between taxi drivers, bike riders, and municipal police. With such clarity, it is expected that the fights within be avoided. Decisions contained in the presidential decree signed yesterday are effective from this month. The internal conflict existing between councillors of the Limbe City Council is now on another level. The tussle between the city mayor and his first deputy hit rock bottom as the latter calls out his deputy on counts of insubordination and disrespect. Get more in the following report. Why CPDM presidents of FACO 1A, B and the secretary of the FACO 1C sections in Limbe have condemned what they term disrespectful and unacceptable behavior from the first deputy city council mayor, Mrs. Karen Mototanga Nora Wapid. According to reports from May last week, the first deputy mayor took a decision to seal the mayor office of the Limbe City Council without notifying the city mayor. It is expected that the fights within be avoided. Decisions contained in the presidential decree signed yesterday are effective from this month.
When the city mayor died, the SG gave instructions for the
CPDM presidents of FACO 1A, B and the secretary of the FACO 1C sections in Limbe have condemned what they term disrespectful and unacceptable behavior from the first deputy city council mayor, Mrs. Karen Mototanga Nora Wapid. According to reports from May last week, the first deputy mayor took a decision to seal the mayor office of the Limbe City Council without notifying the city mayor. The incident is said to have drawn the attention of the city mayor, Paul Fcfa, who tried calling his deputy to reason, all to no avail.